Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We are here today to talk about Ballerina from the world of John Wick. Now, this is the first spin off movie that they've done set in the same franchise as the John Wick universe. I believe that they have the television show, The Continental, that they released, I believe was last year. And
Sounds about right.
yeah. And so it's the first movie. There's been talk of some other possible spin-offs, and there's also, of course, been talk of a possible John Wick 5. But today we're going to focus on this one in particular. This one has been in the works for quite a while. I remember when they first started talking about this. I think we were at around maybe when 3 was coming out, I think is when they were first talking about doing Ballerina. But I remember when it was first announced, they were not sure if they wanted it to go the series route or the movie route, and like what it was going to be, what exactly the storyline was going to be. But they just knew that it was going to be centered around a female assassin from the same world as John Wick. So we're going to dive right in today, just kind of talk about different things that we liked, maybe some possible dislikes. Of course, we'll give our rating at the end. This is going to be a spoiler heavy review. So if you have not seen this movie, first of all, it's been out for a couple weeks. So what are you
I
doing?
haven't seen it yet. Is that going to be a problem?
It could be a concern too, but as long as you don't
I
care
can
about
still
spoilers.
talk about it. It's fine. I can still talk about it even though I haven't seen it. I can still talk about it.
I mean, if you've seen any of the John Wick movies, you can probably get a general gist of what's going to come next. So,
No,
uh,
this is the mold breaking film, Andrew. Don't
I
bury the
mean,
lead. This really breaks the mold.
so
See, the
let's get
girl,
started
it's
with
not a guy anymore. It's a girl now.
that's right. It
Sorry.
changes everything. It's mind
hmm
mind.
hmm
Let's jump right in. So this movie, they did a good job as far as, in my opinion, as far as like setting this up and finding an interesting time period of the series that we know to set it in. As far as with the main storyline of this being set somewhere between John Wick, I believe 3 and 4. Is that right? Yeah.
I started John Wick, rewatching the John Wicks ahead of us doing this review, and
Hmm.
it is most definitely in three. It has to be because when they're walking down the stairs and she says the Sapachki, or I that's not how you say it. I don't know if that's exactly how she said, but she says the thing about the puppy. Apologies
Yeah.
if that's another word. That's in John Wick 3. So we have
Right. I
confirmation. I
remember
know we're
that
all
scene in
okay.
particular. Yeah, and
hmm
what's interesting with it, like I liked that tie-in, and of course we, if anybody had seen the trailers, they knew that John Wick was gonna be more than just like a pop in and out type of thing, as far as that one moment. But I did like that that initial tie-in of like seeing that scene from another perspective of someone that's in the house when the moment happens. Like she grew up in this, in this world, kind of like John Wick did, and getting that moment, but also she has that exchange with him in the stairwell as well, like before he leaves, and the whole thing about like, how did you get out? And I like his response is like, I'm working on it. I thought that was, it's such a John Wick, like such a Keanu like response. I think you and I, Stephen, were talking about this the other day. Just like his delivery with his lines in this series is just, it's just chef's kiss. It's like something only I think I only Keanu could pull off, in the sense that I wouldn't be rolling my eyes with some of these things. You know what I mean?
I think it's like it's turning into it's kind of turning into a thing. Like I didn't imagine it would be like an Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of thing. Like it's not objectively. We all love Keanu. Just full disclosure, all of Keanu loves John Wick. Objectively, Keanu's not the greatest actor. But what he does is so good. The niche he's found for himself is so good that it's like it defies the genre of good acting. Like it's like, oh, well, that's a Keanu thing. That line is a Keanu line. By the way, he did say I'm working on it about getting out one time before in the
That's
first
true.
three movies. One time. And
That-
I was like, because I thought it was just from Ballerina because I hadn't seen the movies in a while. And I'm like, oh, he says the I'm working on it line about getting out. Um, But yeah, you're 100% right about that. Like Keanu's delivery, ah, my God, he believes. What's funny is like even when it's like kind of awkward, he believes he's John Wick. Like I
Hmm.
think that's who he is. There's more Wick than Keanu now. It's all
Yeah.
Wick.
Another thing
Love
you and
that
I
guy.
talked about that that I had mentioned was that for me, this role has now surpassed the like Neo role. In my opinion. Like, yes, the first Matrix especially, like it's one of those things that like, and I'm not, it's not to take away anything from that film or that role or anything like that. It's still very much like an iconic role, not just for him, but just for, the movies in general. Like it's an iconic film. But for me, this role has surpassed that of what he did as with the role of Neo, even over the course of now four films with that series. In my opinion, I just love this character so much more, and I guess part of it because we're kind of joking about the Keanu stuff, like it's less dialogue, so it's like like yes, Matrix is a very action heavy movie as well, or series as well, but there is quite a bit more dialogue from Neo and stuff like that than there is from John Wick in particular.
I'm gonna have to push back on you on that one. I don't think Keanu had any heavy lifting in the Matrix either. I would love to see a breakdown of his lines in maybe actually I think in Matrix maybe Reloaded he had a little heavier lift because you see him so much, but it was all the exposition was Morpheus or Trinity.
I mean, I was gonna say it's
The
more
whole
it's
movie,
more is
yeah.
it Lawrence Fishburne? Is that do I have that
Yep.
right or I have that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Lawrence Fishburne, and the
Yeah.
Bowery King as well.
Mhm.
But
Which is
it's
such a great comeback, like callback with
where
that.
is Carrie Ann Moss? I need Carrie Ann in John Wick 5. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here, and you had a flow going, but Carrie Ann, we need you in John Wick. We need the three of you on screen in John Wick 5. We'll pay
Mm-hmm.
for it. We'll do a GoFundMe.
Ashlyn, let me get your thoughts because sorry, I've been kind of rambling here. What did you think of this film? Like the setting, the story. Just give us some points, some things that maybe stood out for you with Ballerina.
Well, of course, I loved going back to the world of John Wick. I really enjoyed getting more time with, I think it's the Romaneschi, I think is how they pronounce it.
Ruska Roma.
Rista Romas. Yeah. So, like that society, I mean, it's Angelica Houston.
Hmm.
Yeah. Is the leader of that, which is just such a great job. She's such a presence. Like, she's just iconic. Like she's on screen and she's commanding your presence, your attention, like everything. So like she just steals the entire scene whenever she's in it. And so it was really cool to see that perspective of the Rusta and like being able to see from the viewpoint of the girl, like I forget the girl's name, but the lead in this, like the ballerina girl. Like, so seeing her journey through the entire like society and everything with the Ruska, and like then finding out that she's like jumping ahead a little bit here, but like finding out that she's related to the like crazy dude that runs the whole like cult that lives, I don't know, in like a Switzerland mountain or something
Oh,
like that.
I'm not sure. Maybe I interpreted that differently. I kind of felt like it was more like a he's the father of all of them,
Yeah,
kind of
Maybe,
like a cult
maybe
it
thing.
that's
wasn't
That's
a
what.
how I
direct
interpreted it. I could be
it
wrong though.
wasn't direct relation. His son was Norman Reedus's character, like his
Yeah,
actual son. But I think this was more like he's the father of these people. I don't think that her father was related to him specifically, as far as I understood.
no, the what I was confused about and what I was referring to is when he says that the other woman is her half sister. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm,
Because that relationship, the way I understood it, is they were half sisters. The way they explained that I think they had different mothers, but they had the same father.
I'm not
But
sure they say any. This okay. First of all, before we keep digging into any of this any further, this is the funniest freaking thing ever that we're contemplating plot details in a John Wick movie. That's hilarious. But to your point, Ashley, I don't think they ever specifically said like what their relationship is. I was just kind of the comment I was making was about the fact that the cult leader's son has a entirely different accent than he does, even though he was raised in this like Swiss idyllic
Yeah,
setting. He had a good old American accent. You know, he's Norman Reese is from Hollywood, Florida.
really.
Yeah, he's from Hollywood,
That.
Florida. Yeah, so it's like wow, that could not be further apart than a Gabriel Byrne accent in the movie. So that's why I kind of thought, oh well, maybe they're setting it up like it doesn't matter who's born to who. He's the father of all invention in that community. You know,
I
that's
don't know. I'll
how I think it. But mhm.
watch Ballerina again, but I thought that was the concept that I was getting, is that like that her parents left the cult and everything,
Mhm.
that maybe because it's a cult, they're just
Mhm.
swinging around with different partners, and her dad knocked up some other woman, and that woman that we see that she meets is her sister, because he calls her sister, and she talks about the fact that like her parents took her away, and I think she refers to Ballerina's father as her father. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe I got that mixed up in translation. I'll have to rewatch the movie again. I just thought if that is what's going on, that's an interesting tie-in, that she had this long lost sister
Mhm.
that she didn't know about, that unfortunately ends up dying and
in like
everything.
immediately,
two minutes,
instantly.
immediately, I was like, we're not even gonna get like a possible team up. No, instantly dead. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, I'm disappointed with that. Like I was waiting for her to like change gears and like protect her sister and go against the creepy father figure, like leader of this weird cult. Which my other gripe with this whole cult thing is like they build up all this stuff about the cult, like they of course have all these weapons and everything, but no one talks about what this cult's objective is, like what the hell they're doing, why they
Exactly.
decide.
Exact. Don't
Like
steal my thunder, Ashlyn. You're getting dangerously close to stealing my thunder.
I'm just like, okay, so he's big bad. He's this horrible, awful, terrible person who, like, got everyone to drink the Kool-Aid. They're all living off in their special little ice town on the, Swiss mountainside. And,
Beautiful.
we've got like this whole Waco thing going on. But then
I call it more Swiss celebration. That's what I call it. But it's just me.
it leads back into the multiple partners thing. But like, so I'm
Y'all
just
are
like,
freaks.
So I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, okay, he's bad. We get it. He's this all father figure. No one talks about what the fuck it is they're into and what they're so evil for, and like what the main like reason is of why he's like this, why he has all these people, this whole cult. So I'll let Steven delve more into that, give him his time on the soap.
You hit the nail on the head though. It's like they seem kind of awesome. Like it's just what's your evil aim? A nice community where people that are dangerous people can feel safe and loved. Wow. Let's burn that mother effer to the ground.
Yeah, they
Those
did not
evil
do any job as far as like making us understand why they are actually the bad version of like the Russian family. Like because they do the
they
exact
seem
same
way
thing where
worse.
they're
They seem
raising
worse.
where they're raising
Oh,
children to be these assassins and stuff like that. It's the exact same situation. And honestly, it's from what it seemed like, just look wise, it looked like those kids were better off where they were at, than the ones in the like the Russian house, where that it's
they
like
literally
it's
murdered. They had her murder a former student to get jumped into the gang. And they're
yeah.
like, no, these other guys are monsters. We're
Yeah.
good. These other guys that like will literally burn the world down to get one child back. Yeah, they're the monsters. We're the bad guy. They're the
And
bad
it's
guys.
so unfortunate
Oh
because
my god.
they've done such a good job with all the previous
Mhm.
movies as far as world building and like lore and stuff like that with different things. In my opinion, like, was there one or two things that I was kind of like less impressed with as the series went on? Maybe, but like it generally, from especially like in the first and second one, when they're really like cooking and like setting things up and expanding on the world, there's such interesting things and such well done, like I said, world building, where this that part in particular, like this, it's set in the same universe, but they did not dive in enough to make us understand the difference between what we're seeing versus what they're talking about. Discussing the differences between these different factions of, like, the assassins and stuff like that, with this particular cult group type of thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I have no doubt that someone like with the way that guy was, like, it's probably not good, but you're also like, just, it's all very surface level. You're not giving us enough to go off of, other than the fact that the dude was creepy as hell. Like, that's about it.
That's his brand.
Yeah,
That's his brand.
it
But
was giving me
I mean,
very much Inglorious Bastards, with oh god, the guy Christoph Waltz and stuff like that. Like,
that'd be high praise to compare
no, no, no.
anyone to
I'm
Christoph
not
Waltz
saying that
character
it's the
in
same
Inglourious
level of
Basterds.
acting. I'm saying, like, it was that, like, uncomfortableness,
I
like
get
that
right.
character.
Yeah.
That's all I mean. But
That's all that it takes to have a cult. Is you have to be creeped out by the leader. You have to be skeeved out. That's all it takes. And it's like, ooh, this feels culty to me. We
that's one
could
of
we
those
could
things.
reference
Like,
something specifically, but it's a political show.
I mean, this is very off topic, but like, the Inglorious Bastards, I love that so much. I unfortunately so many times randomly, when you have those random, like, little audio clips that pop in your head and you just like say it
Mhm.
out. You hope other people know what you're talking about. I'll constantly just be like, "Wait for the crim," and I'm just, and I'm like, this is so like, it was uncomfortable when he did it in that moment. It's even worse in everyday life. Like, it's so.
He's a genius. He's a genius. Christoph Waltz is a genius. He's just a brilliant actor.
But let me
I,
ask y'all this: what?
well,
How did?
before was Ashlyn finished with her point? Because I've cut her off like a couple times. Did
Oh,
you have
yeah, yeah,
anything else,
Ashley,
Ashlyn? I'm
you done?
sorry.
Yeah, those are probably my like real like complaints with the film. I mean, if we want to turn to positives now, that's fine.
Well, I was just going to ask. I wanted to get everybody's take on how we feel about our leading lady, like how she did, and if there was any notes, good or bad, that we felt about the character, and then obviously the actress that plays it. Obviously, she's been in quite a lot, ever since Knives Out in particular. But this was arguably like her biggest role, and leading role, since, if I'm not mistaken. So, like,
She got
personally,
nominated for an Oscar for the Marilyn Monroe movie she did.
I forgot about that.
Still not seen Blonde. I just, there's so much controversy around it. I just haven't brought myself to watch it.
Mhm.
And I'm a huge Marilyn Monroe fan and everything like that. So, I mean, there's the book, and then of course there's the movie, and I just haven't dug into that a lot. But as far as her for an actress, I think she's extremely talented. I thought she did a really good job with this role for like what the role is and what she's been given and everything like that. And like believability wise, I think she delivered on everything. Again, I think having the plot hole be so large with the setup of the cult and the organization, I think caused a lot of problems with the story, and maybe like if there were issues of like her motivations, because it comes off very Columbiana in a sense with certain things,
Mm.
where she's just like, you killed my dad, so I'm gonna come kill you now. Like, it's just like, okay. I mean,
Mhm.
John Wick killed a bunch of people over a puppy, so I guess that's,
A much better reason to kill people,
yeah.
mind you.
So I don't know if that part of it, because like, yeah, we know this man came in and broke into her house and killed her father in front of her, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, like for such a huge revenge like plot and like why she's doing what she's doing, I think having the lack of understanding of who this man is and the cult and all the significance behind it lessens that plot line as well for her of who she is and like what she's doing and her motivations and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
speaking to her performance as an actress, I think she did a great job. And I liked her character and her backstory and her story with the rust aroma and all of that. So, like, I think that part was all very well done.
Stephen, what were your thoughts?
I'm not a big Ana de Armas fan. Um, I liked her in Knives Out, but I haven't liked her in much else. Like I just, it's nothing personal, and just I'm not. She's not my favorite. That being said, she did everything Keanu does in these movies. Like she executed on everything he did. She's got a little more, maybe a little more of reaction, like a little more like um emotional range than Keanu has. But outside of that, like I felt like the story. If we're gonna start with criticism, I think the story didn't suit. I don't want to say that. It felt like would get really really angry at points, like just really really angry. Like she it felt like she did have anger issues. She didn't come off as smart as John does because John like always seems to kind of understand the consequences of his actions. Like she seemed a little more impetuous, and I guess that's how she was playing the character. But in terms of like the actress, like I thought she did a great job. I would be excited to go see another one. I think she did great. The physicality of the role, it's like Keanu's from 1 to 4. Um, I don't want to say his age is showing a little bit because I really don't think it. I think it's the honesty of how they shoot those movies. They shoot them really honestly, out wide, not a lot of quick cuts. You see everything. So it's if you're not going really balls to the wall as a fighter, you're gonna see, you're gonna see how it's how Keanu's doing it, and it's a little like every once in a while he seems a little like more limited every movie, like just a
Hmm.
little slower than he was in the previous movie. She handled everything. She like it was like, oh wow, that she's like in her prime doing these
Yeah,
things and taking these hits and stunts and whatnot. So it was just it felt like John Wick, but maybe it had been kind of we'd taken a step back and it kind of speed wise she was doing things a lot faster, which that was refreshing. Having a younger person because we never got to experience the young Jardani, you know, doing his thing. It would have been amazing if John Wick 1 had been made 20 years ago or 30 years ago or whatever when Keanu was in his 20s. But yeah, it was kind of nice to see an assassin in her prime doing those things, and I think she did a really good job with the performance in that from that respect.
yeah.
She's kind of like Keanu in a sense of how it's like her line delivery is very much she's got a very stoic way about her. But she has those bursts of anger. It really honestly to me, without knowing what their thought process behind casting her was, it seems like they were trying to find a female Keanu, like
Mm.
somebody that had a lot of that really like could deliver on like a female John Wick type, and it was Eve Macaro. I looked it up. I didn't know it off the top of my head either. Her character's name is Eve.
I thought it was.
Um, but yeah, I thought she did in this movie. I thought she did a good job, and I was less excited about Ballerina because it was her. And then after seeing the movie, I'm like, yeah, I'll go see Ballerina too. I don't even if this was kind of like her performance was very much like something we've seen before. Yeah, I think she did a great job.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm in the same boat that like I wouldn't say that she's like one of my favorite actresses, although like kind of like what you said, Stephen. Like I loved her in Knives Out, but I just think that movie as a whole is incredible, just
Mm.
front to back. So I don't know that it 100% has to do with her. It just maybe that's more of like the writing and the direction and that sort of thing. But
Very
to
well written movie.
yeah. So, but as far as this, yeah, she seemed to handle everything really well. Like you said, really good point as far as like seeing, one of the assassins like in their prime type of thing, as opposed to a lot of the ones that we've seen in here. Not all of them, but a lot of them, even in the surrounding John Wick, are usually a bit older. Sometimes he'll fight younger people, like, and there are a few
He
like
kills
young.
them immediately. They're dead immediately.
Exactly. They never last. Never last.
Yeah.
They're clearly inexperienced. It's only the old ones that can survive. Usually long.
Hmm.
You know.
Hmm.
I'm still I understand why they did it, but I'm still, I think, to this day a little upset that we lost Willem Dafoe right off the bat. I would have loved for him to stick around at least a little bit longer, even if it was one more film in this series, type of thing. But I get it at the same time. But yeah, so I like I said, I think she did a really good job. Yeah, there's probably some things I dislike this one more than like some of the John Wick films, as we've kind of mentioned, as far as with the story or lack of like explaining things or things like that. But obviously, you don't necessarily go into a movie like this with where you're like trying really hard to like focus in on the story it's telling. It's an action packed like popcorn flick, have fun at the movies type of thing. It is what it is. It's surface level. However, I also push back on my own statement here because, like as I said before, I think they did such a good job with the previous John Wick movies as far as the world building and the showing us this world at large with the assassins and things like that, and having interesting things, even if the story of each particular one, depending on which one you're talking about, could be considered surface level at certain times. The world made it feel so much richer, and the characters made it feel so much richer. And I was missing a little bit more of that with this particular installment. But overall, solid film. Like you said, I would definitely go see a second one. Real quick before we give our ratings and everything like that, I do want to ask y'all a quick question. Now, as we mentioned at the top of the video, there's already talk. There's been talk of John Wick 5. We don't know about the future of Ballerina as of right now, just due to box office performance, different things like that. Um, but in the overall world of John Wick, what is the thing that you want to see next? Do you want another spin-off movie, whether it's a continuation of this or a different one? Do you want a particular series or anything like that that you would want to see set in the world of John Wick? Ashlyn, I'm going to start with you.
Well, it's tough because I know the Continental series wasn't exactly well received. Fans apparently didn't like it. We haven't watched it yet. So I'm excited to kind of watch it and make our own opinions about it. And I was really excited when I heard about it. So for that, like anything to do with the overall organization is always super interesting to me. Like I think we've all said, I'm down for another Ballerina 2, maybe going more into the Ruscaroma and what they're about. So maybe Anna de Armas doesn't even have to come back. Like maybe it's something with a different character, just showing more about the Ruscaroma, or maybe they're done for now. Like maybe that's all there really is to them. So I don't know. I just really enjoy this world. I don't know that there's a specific character that I would like to see more of from this world, mostly because anyone that we really like get too attached to or spend too much time with dies. So there's not. I did like from the fifth one all the stuff in Japan with that family. So was that the fourth one? Yeah. The fifth one hasn't come out yet, obviously, but the fourth with the family in Japan and everything, and that story was very interesting. So maybe something like that, or where we get to spend, every time we go to a new continental, it's always so interesting to see how that continental is run in their country or city, wherever they're at. So I don't know, we can just do like a Grand Budapest thing with all the different
There has been talk of them doing a spin-off film for the blind character in, and I believe from John Wick 4.
Hmm.
Which is, it's funny, if I'm not mistaken, the actor's name has escaped.
Donnie Yen?
Is it Donnie Yen?
Is it Donnie Yen that played him?
I think so.
Oh, look,
It
yeah.
Ironically, I'm almost certain it's the same actor that plays a different blind character from Rogue One.
Yes, it is.
From Rogue
Yeah,
One.
yeah,
It unequivocally is. Yeah, it's Donnie Yen. It
uh,
unequivocally is the same
yeah.
actor.
I've heard talk of them possibly doing a spinoff for his character. I mean, sure, why not? Like, it's not, it wasn't at the top of my list, but yeah, sure, why not? Steven, any thoughts on what you want to see from the world of John Wick?
Well, John Wick 5 is confirmed. Like that's not a rumor or something they're thinking about doing. That's confirmed, like pre-production movie. So we know we're getting another John Wick. We know it's Keanu. We know it's post 4. So we know he's still alive.
That bothers
Um,
so much. Like they wrapped up four so beautifully. It irritates me.
you can't. That's the thing, though. It's like you can't be too mad at it because he should have been dead like 800 times over. Like
Yeah, at least
death
by the
cannot.
third time down the stairs, he should have been dead. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like,
it's yeah. So if we're just going off of this one, like uh, just to go take a step back to what you were saying about the world building, they didn't introduce it for all that lacked an explanation about what was going on with this cult. They didn't really expand the concepts. Like everything was known. We know how these things work. We know how this world works. Um, I think it's less about what I want to see next, or what I would like to see more of than let's grow it. What else? Let's keep it. Let's keep that expansion going with like these creative concepts around the assassins. Honestly, I'd love to see these assassins actually assassinate somebody. That'd be interesting
instead
because it's like if I don't think about it, we've had
of just each
four.
other.
I mean, honestly, it's got to be bad for business. Like, it seems like they're just killing each other for fun, And John Wick, Andrew and you and I have talked a little bit about, an anime of young John Wick and the impossible task, things like that. But
Mhm.
really, I think what it boils down to is it would be nice to have a movie where we see the high table is organized crime. We've already saw there the first family that he worked for, the one that gave him the impossible task, the son he killed, the Alfie Allen from Game of Thrones. That I'd love to see like someone given a job more so than just Ana de Armas in the first like 20 minutes of this movie. That's the first time we've ever seen someone do a job like
Yeah.
that's protecting she's protecting that businessman's daughter. That's literally the first time we've ever seen somebody do that.
That was actually
Oh,
pretty cool to see, like that whole
yeah,
sequence play out. Like, and I loved I love you jogged my memory. I love that part when she does the foot slide, and you see the mark on the ice. That was like
yeah.
was it necessary? No, but it looks cool. So I was like,
There's something she does in the movie. There's a move she does. I think it was in the kitchen fight scene that just sitting there, we're watching it. We're like, oh wow! Like we were like, oh, Keanu ain't doing that.
yeah.
But yeah, it really to answer your question, like make a short story long. Um, let's do something. You either have to dive into something we haven't seen before, like how does the high table function? Like what is the high table doing? You know, or with John Wick, maybe I don't know, like he has to do his one final job, even though the last thing was his one final thing, you know. But it's really interesting, and the possibilities are endless. You just can't they just can't get out from under Keanu's umbrella right now.
Hmm.
The Continental was a failure, and I promise you, the Continental was a failure because it had no John Wick. And gosh dang it, I can't remember the actor's name that plays Winston. He's so great.
Yeah.
Without him, I mean, he's Winston. Without him, you're kind of limited. I'm honestly
Yeah.
worried about John Wick 5 without Sharon because that actor passed away.
Yeah.
You know, he's
It
such
was
a
so
great
cool seeing
paramour.
him even
You
in
know,
Ballerina with doing whether it was the deep fakes or whatever they did, the
I
uncut.
think he actually shot this. I think this was his
I
last. I think
I
he.
don't know. I figured it was repurposed footage, is what I assumed.
Because like Andrew said earlier, I think that this had been in production for a while. So
Mm.
he might have actually got that in the can. I'm not sure. I have not researched it at all, but that
Yeah.
was my thought because we Justine and I had the same exchange. Like, is he
Yeah,
like posted this?
for all we know, maybe he filmed at the same time that he filmed his final scenes for John Wick 4. Like
Possibly.
maybe it was the same time. Who knows?
Mhm.
But yeah, I just assumed it was repurposed footage. Is the only part that made me question it was um, kind of at the end. It's like all three of them standing there, and then he kind of cross paths with Eve as they walk out the door. I was like, ooh.
Mhm.
I was like, how would I mean? Not that it's impossible, but I was like, oh, that would be a hard one to like pull off as far as repurposed footage or whatever they did. But yeah, for all we know, maybe it was just filmed a couple years ago. But um, I just say real quick for mine. I mean, I think especially after talking with you, Steven, I think at the top of my list is probably like an anime John Wick series, like with young John Wick, and then like whether it starts at one point and ends with the final task, or even if it's just a like a short one off series like that's about the final task. Like I'll take any of that. But something I've talked about for years, but even before they came out with the Continental series that we got, is that what I wanted to see was like an anthology series done with the Continental where you would and you could have Winston show up. Obviously, we'd have to figure something out. Like they'd probably have to set it in the current
Mhm.
time period, like post John Wick 4, where the other actor is gone. Like his character died. They killed him off in that one. Um, go ahead.
So he did film Ballerina.
Really?
Production started filming Ballerina, and I knew this for a fact. The principal photography for Ballerina began in 2022.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
right.
Yeah, it was, and that I think it was. Let me see. Yeah, he passed away in 2023, and he filmed his stuff for Ballerina in 2022.
Wow.
So it was
Okay.
no deep fakes, nothing. It was all him, his last on-screen performance.
That makes me really happy to hear, honestly. Like
Yep.
to hear that it was like actually him there. Because man, what that was so rough. I've always been curious, like if they had officially decided to kill him off in the fourth one, or if it was done because of what happened. Like if it was kind of like a Star Wars situation with Leia and stuff like that. But
From everything I've heard about that, at least as far as it goes for four, is that was the creative plan. Like there was no, I believe his death was kind of unexpected and sudden.
yeah, I hate
Because
that.
he filmed that.
I
What?
hate that so much.
Yeah, I think his because he filmed four before Ballerina, so he was already
That's
in
true.
universe dead, and
That's true.
then they filmed Ballerina. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what I was saying real quick with mine is that like, so let's say it's set post John Wick 4 or whatever, so you don't have to worry about that character. But you could have possibly Winston back and or however it works out,
Mhm.
or even if it's set prior and but there's a different you know person at the desk or however you want to handle it. But do an anthology series where every episode focuses on a different assassin from the world within
Mhm.
the world of John. And I still think even with what happened with the Continental series and with this, I still think you could do it because let's say for some reason this movie doesn't perform well enough for them to consider keep doing these spin-off type things. That would be like a safer way to do it where you're not having to spend, you know, as much. Yes, I know these series still cost a lot of money, but you normally can get away with less with a series, especially with something like this. I feel like versus the production budget plus advertising budget and all that kind of stuff, distribution, blah blah blah, with a film type of thing, kind of like this might not be the best example, but kind of like when Disney got scared of doing their, Star Wars spin-off movies and stuff like that because of like Solo and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, then we're going to move to streaming. Now they're realizing they need to go back to the films, and it's been a back and forth. But I think that there are times where it works better one way than the other. And I think personally, I think that that would be a really good way to do it. And it would be a very interesting, fun way to expand the world of John Wick, but not necessarily having to do a hour and a half, 2 hour film about one particular character type of thing. So that's my
I'd watch
thought.
it.
I'd watch it.
And that's
Real quick, anybody got any final points before we give our ratings?
well, to your point, honey, is that I was going to say that way, if you're following different characters, you could do different continentals across the world.
That too. Yeah, that's definitely a way that that could play out as well. You could kind of jump around the universe, if you will, and expand on it even more. So, Ashlyn, I'm going to start with you. Out of 10, what are your final thoughts and rating for Ballerina?
It was a really good watch. I'd watch it again. I'd watch a sequel of it. I love this world, all the characters in it. I think Anna de Armas did a great job with her character. It'd be interesting to see where she moves on to now after completing her mission and, completing killing this guy at the end of the movie. So yeah, I'm all for it. Rating wise, I'd say it's a solid 7 out of 10.
That's fair. Steven?
I would give it the rating of robust and precise. I liked it a lot. It was fun. Any John Wick movie is better than no John Wick movies. And it's funny because it's not like, and I say that to not even say that, oh, because he was in it, which we really didn't touch on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if we're doing final thoughts, I will say that it was, no matter how much the marketing showed that he was in the movie, I was still surprised by how much he was in the movie. Like
Yeah.
he's in good like 15 to 20% of the movie. He's in, at least spiritually, he's in the whole thing, but he's like kind of around, and they really, that would be another small critique, is that it's like they didn't have a finale without him. Like
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't accomplish her mission without John Wick. So she's still maybe dependent on John Wick, as if the movie's dependent on John Wick. But I say all that to say, when we say in the John Wick universe, it's like saying obviously the Marvel universe. Like it doesn't have to have John Wick for me to be interested in. And I didn't think he was. I thought he was going to be in the one scene where she sees him at the school. And that was it. That's what I thought. And then going into it blind and seeing him in a bunch of it, I was like, well, that's great. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it with the parts with her in it. I enjoyed that John Wick was in it. Um, I would go see it. I would go see the next one. Just same as you guys. I'd watch Andrew's Continental show, or Andrew and Ashlyn's, the creators of the Continental episodic Continental show. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. Any John Wick's good John Wick. Any of it. So
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm with you on the thing that is funny that we didn't quite touch on the whole John Wick of it all for the film itself. Yeah, he was in it a lot more than I thought he was going to be. Even if it was more than just the scene at the school, like I thought he was going to show up, at where she was at, and then like probably be gone after that first initial fight between the
mhm.
two of them that leave her to her own devices. What I'm interested to see from this with the continuation is what does this mean for her character? Has she been, like essentially like excommunicado from her family, or like what happens next? Like with everything that happened, like is there a fallout that happens because of what she did with this, cult family thing, or is it just going to be more of a self-contained thing? But how does it affect her going forward? Is it a similar like John Wick thing where he killed somebody on the property, blah blah blah?
Well,
Uh,
you can still have access to the Continental services and be have a bounty in your head, because Norman Reedus had a what 2 million,
oh
$4
yeah,
million
yeah. I
dollar
didn't.
bounty on his head, and he was still allowed to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't. I'm just hiding out in the Continental until that blows over. If I'm them and have the resources,
Yeah.
I'm
No, I
hiding
didn't mean
out.
that she was cut off from the Continental. I just meant like is she exiled from her family? Does she no longer have that connection?
No, I think that plot point is that like Angelica Houston's like so she sent John Wick there to shut it down, and that's what the you have to get this done by midnight clock was about. So because she killed him by midnight, there's really no fallout because he's dead. So like essentially
that was his thing though. That had nothing to do
yeah.
with them though. They didn't set that time limit. He
I think
did.
what Ashlyn's referencing is the fact that when Wick called her and she's like, "Is it finished?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Is she dead?" And he goes, "He's dead." She goes, "Good enough," and that was it. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
I think it's like, I think it's, I kind of, that's the one thing about John Wick universe that they're very intentional with what they tell you. Like their rules are very intentional. They're like, this is how this is. And so and I know I just watched the first three movies. I haven't watched four again yet, but Winston very clearly explains the differences between being against the high table and being excommunicado, and then being the third thing of being hunted. Like they're very different states of being,
Yeah.
you know. So she's definitely not excommunicado, but I would love to see how Angelica Houston like makes her make up for it after
Yeah.
everything. Or maybe she put the hit out. Maybe she's got the contract out on her. Angelica Houston's like, nope, you're dead. You're done.
Yeah.
Or you're
I
going to
don't
be
know.
the next test for the next initiate.
Yeah, that would probably be a solid guess as far as that goes. Even if she's just sending a bunch of, new recruits after her, like whoever kills her, gets the spot or whatever type of thing. So there's definitely more story to be told with this. I'd say for me, I'm gonna split the difference. I'm probably like a 7.5 out of 10 for me with this movie. I definitely want to watch it again because I feel like there's certain things that I need to like revisit with this and take it in a little bit more because I've seen not the fourth one as many times, but I've seen the first three John Wick movies quite a few times. Love those films, but yeah, definitely solid like first venture for this new character, and hopefully we'll see more from her in the future. But as
Card.
always, yep, go ahead.
I was gonna say we need little flip point cards that they have for like the Olympics and stuff, so we can do our point system.
I've got it written on my chest right now, but I don't want to expose myself to the camera. It's painted on. Did either real quick before we sign off? Did either of you guys notice? Because I noticed it. I've seen it twice, and I noticed it on my second viewing that when she's got the severed hand and she looks up at the Swan Lake or whatever, that's the girl. The girl that was starring in it was the girl that had been kicked out. Did you
Yeah.
guys notice that?
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
did.
like,
Yeah.
because I noticed the second time, I was like, oh my gosh, I thought they had killed her. Like I thought for sure that they had like they cannot know secret. Boom, dead. That was it. And I was like, oh wow. So she's just famous ballerina now with tattoos from this assassin school. Got it. Understood.
I
The
think
Because
world
I'm sure
deepens.
they would love the tattoos there. I'm sure they would love that.
that was kind of like a call to her seeing like what could have been for her, and the fact
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
led her to this path versus this girl got out and got to live the ballerina dream.
Uh, Most definitely. Most definitely. I'm just like, oh, so you can just leave. And that would have been
Yeah,
hilarious if she was like, oh, whoops. Like John was right. The door's unlocked. That is my favorite line of the whole movie. Maybe my favorite part. She's like, how did you get it? She's like, how can I get out? And he goes, the front door. It's unlocked. I was like, and I'm like, having just watched part three, that door was locked when he tried to get in. John, full of shit. John Wick. That door was locked. He was banging on the. Here's my ticket. I've got my ticket. Still. Oh my god.
Uh,
Oh, cool thing about 3, Andrew. You probably remember. Did you his little medallion thing that he had the ticket on? That's what they used to brand him. They took it
Yep.
off the thing.
Yeah.
And branded the medallion. I was like, man, the details are so cool in these movies. Like, anyway, sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, that part I remember watching that for the first time. I was like, "Ouch!" I was just like, "I don't like that at all."
That's the gun.
Like I said, the line delivery is just the best. Just the best. We love Keanu.
I love him. He's a great human being.
But as always, we want to hear from you guys. What did you think of Ballerina? What do you want to see next within the world of John Wick? Are you excited for John Wick 5 or the possibility of a Ballerina 2 or anything else for that matter? So be sure to comment below. Let us know what you're thinking. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok at RetroactivePod. You can find me at all social media as Andrew is losing. Ashton, where can the people find you?
At BookBrack90 on all social media.
And Steven?
The high table.
That's, as always.
Right here. I don't do anything. Anyway.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We will see you next time.